attendees and participants, welcome to the June 11th meeting of the City of Tampa Variance Review Board. From my left, the members of the board are
Todd Fultz,
Sam Decker.
Brett Feldman.
Aaron Murphy.
Also in attendance this evening from legal, student Susan Johnson-Velez. From Development Coordination, Lisa Middleton. From Natural Resources and Planning, Stephen Eister. And we have Laura Marley as well, who I think was going to say something. Would you like to speak now? Okay.
Good evening, Chair. As you know, Josh Blackman moved on. So our forester, Stephen Eister, has been promoted. He was a forester, now he's a planner too. So he is your VRB coordinator.
I'll update my notes accordingly. So there are some procedural rules that we need you to follow. When your case number and petitioner's name are called, please approach the podium. When you approach the podium, please state your name, state your address, and confirm that you've been sworn in. Everyone forgets this. Name, address, confirm that you've been sworn in. The petitioner or its agent will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. All other persons or participants wishing to speak will then have 3 minutes. The petitioner will then have an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal if needed. The time periods as stated will be kept by the board. Any additional information, such as pictures or plans that has not previously been submitted and that the applicant wishes to submit for consideration, must be individually presented and accepted by the board. After acceptance by the board, the applicant must submit the item to staff for it to be entered and made part of the permanent record. The board bases its decision on competent and substantial evidence which is submitted and which meets the criteria required by the city's code of ordinances. Please be sure to clearly state your hardship criteria during your presentation. A majority of the board is needed to approve your variance. As you will see, or as you can see, there are only 4 members at the meeting tonight. Therefore, 3 of the members must affirmatively approve your variance in order for it to be formally approved. Our rules state that in the event there are only 4 members of the board available, the applicant has a right to request a continuance of their application to the next month's VRB board agenda or to the next available position on an upcoming VRB board agenda. Please, if you would like to take advantage of this continuance opportunity, please do so before you begin your presentation. The variance granted by the board will be only for what is shown on the site plan and will be in compliance with any terms or conditions stated by the board. All other city codes must also be met. If the case is approved, your variance will expire 2 years from the date of decision. If your case is continued, it will either be continued to the next month's VRB board agenda or to the next available position on an upcoming VRB board agenda. If your case is denied, you may wish to have the variance review board's decision appealed by the city council. You must file a petition for review of the board's decision within 14 days of the board's written decision. You will not be able to pull any permits until that 14-day review period has passed. Your cooperation in ensuring that this meeting is run smoothly is greatly appreciated. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes from the May 14th board meeting?
Motion to approve?
All right, motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Mr. Feldman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, meeting minutes are approved. At this time, I'll ask legal staff to confirm whether there are any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any board members who have had any ex parte communications with anyone with respect to any item on the agenda this evening. For the record, all board members have indicated in the negative, and I would now ask if any board members have any conflicts of interest with respect to any matters on the agenda this evening. Again, all indications from board members are in the negative. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda that staff wishes to make this evening?
Hello, Steve Einster. There's been one change to the agenda. VRB 24-22 was withdrawn, so we will not be hearing that.
All right, at this time, I would ask a staff member to conduct the swearing in. If anyone in the audience is going to speak this evening, please stand to be sworn in. The first case this evening is VRB 24-11.
Good evening, Board. The first case on the agenda tonight is VRB 24-11. The owner and applicant are Jimmy and Christina Alonso. The property is 3130 West Palmetto Street. The zoning on the property is residential single family, RS 50. The request is to reduce the rear yard from 20 feet to 9 feet for addition to the primary structure. This falls under section 27-156. Table 4-2, the schedule for area height, bulk, and placement regulations of RS 50. District setbacks are 20 feet front, 20 feet rear, and 7 feet on the sides. There was a complaint brought forward for the work without permits. A BLD has been applied for to try to clear up that complaint. So this is the map of the site here. You can see the addition in the rear. So this is the overhang outlined in the red box. The one on the left is the site without the overhang. The one on the right is with the addition of the overhang. This is kind of a zoomed in version of that overhang where you can see the 9-foot, 1-inch spacing from the rear property line. Another note, this property backs up to an alley. All reviewers found the project consistent or consistent with conditions. This is the hardship criteria. We're going to run through that real quick. This is the applicant's first response. Kind of the highlights are the home is on the corner lot. The front door faces Mantanza Street. The address is on Palmetto Street. It's unique compared to the other neighboring properties that face Palmetto Street. And from the front door, the covering on the right appears to be in the side of the home. This is number 2. The answer states there's no negative impacts to the health, safety, or the neighboring properties. The rear yard faces an alley. There's only one neighbor on the other side of the alley. No neighbors have disagreements with the covering. The majority of the homes in the area were originally built with the option for families to add cover spaces in the backyard due to the property sizes. New construction homes have an outdoor space built within the structure, adhering to the setback requirements. Our home was built right on the 20-foot setback, leaving no space for any backyard coverings. And then for the last one, this will allow us to have an outdoor space consistent with many homes in the area. And those are just kind of the highlights of each answer. And then they're keeping with the low density of the future land use. Then the required conditions, if the VRB approves this, the site will comply with chapters 5, 17.5, 21, 22, 23, 26, and all technical standards in the city of Tampa, and chapter 7, unless specifically waived by the request. And then if you have any questions for staff, we are available.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Christina Alonso. This is Jimmy Alonso. Our address is 3130 West Palmetto Street, Tampa, Florida 33607, and we have been sworn in. We're here today to request a decrease in the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 9 feet. Our hardship is the way that our home was built. All the homes in our area face Palmetto. Our home was turned and now faces Matanzas, so our front door and our front entrance of our home is off of Matanzas. To our understanding that our use of the home, the front of our home is off of Matanzas, not leaving us much of a backyard. When we bought the home, we looked at it and thought we had no backyard and we only had side yards, only because of the configuration of the home. There's no negative impacts on the health and safety of the principal parcel or neighboring properties. Like they were saying, we only have one neighbor on the other side of the alley from us. He had no disagreements with the covering. Majority of the homes in the area are older homes that have nice spacings for their setbacks, where if they don't have a covering already, they could possibly add one. And a lot of the new construction going on has an outdoor space that's built within the structure of the home, giving them some kind of outdoor area. This will allow us to continue to have outdoor space to keep in line with majority of the homes in the area already have. I was born and raised on Palmetto Street, and I'm lucky enough now to own a home on Palmetto Street. My parents, my aunt, my uncle, my great aunt, my great uncle all live on Palmetto. So it's just kind of something we do. We kind of go back and forth, watch games in everyone's backyard, have holidays. So it's just kind of keeping up in kind of the environment that I grew up in. We will keep within the harmony of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, my relationship with this corner and this street. We will always take care of this corner, and we will keep within the low density of the future land use.
Thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes.
Right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? All right, seeing none, I'm going to open it up to questions from the board, for the applicant or for staff. I just have a quick question for staff. What is the side yard setback? Here is it 7 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no questions from,
The existing patio is currently not enclosed, it's screened in?
No, no,
Not air conditioned, anything like that?
no, no.
Okay. Would you be adverse to a condition made that it would never be allowed to be enclosed or air conditioned?
That's understandable, yes.
Okay.
all right. So you have 5 minutes for rebuttal, should you need it.
No, I don't think we do.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing, open it up for a motion or discussion from the board.
I move that variance request for case VRB 2411, located at 3130 West Palmetto Street, and as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing, to decrease the required primary structure rear setback from 20 feet to 9 feet with the encroachment of eaves and gutters be granted with the following condition, that the addition not be enclosed to air-conditioned space. That said variance as condition be granted based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code. Specifically, that the home is built with a different configuration than the majority of homes in this neighborhood, that were this a side yard setback as matches the configuration, they would have a 7-foot side yard setback, and they are meeting a 9-foot setback. That there have been no objections from the neighbors, and that the addition backs to an alley on a corner lot. Second.
Motion by Mr. Feldman, second by Mr. Foltz. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Your variance is granted 4-0.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Then the next case on the agenda is VRB 24-14. The owner and applicant are James Machado and Richard Marcel. The address is 2821 Marconi Street. The zoning is residential multifamily, RM16. The request is to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 8 feet for a porch. The code section and reference is section 27-156, table 4-2, schedule of area of height, bulk, and placement regulations in RM16 districts. Setbacks are 25 feet front, 15 feet rear, and 7-foot sides. The previous actions are there's a complaint open for work without permits, and then there's been a after-the-fact building permit filed. This is a map of the site. As you can see, it is in RM16. This is the highlighted area where the porch is located. There is a zoomed-in version here, so you guys can see the setback from 25 feet down to 8 feet for the covered porch area. Can you guys see? Okay. So all the reviewers found it consistent and consistent with conditions. This is the hardship criteria. And then we're just gonna run through their answers real quick to the hardship responses. The structure was built in 1918. All setbacks are existing and have not been modified by the present owner. The lot is in minimal size with reduced setbacks typical for the structures built before 1970. The existing front porch is part of the original structure and is placed 8 feet from the property line. The approval will not negatively impact the health of the neighbors. The neighborhood consists of older homes with construction dating prior to 1930. The hardship and practical difficulty did not result from the owner. The dwelling was constructed in 1918, predating World War II. The RM16 designation now allows for front porch encroachments. The property owner currently remodeled the front porch, and that's what triggered the recommendation for the variance and the code complaint. Removal of the front porch would create a hardship and have to modify the front of the home. The request seeks to maintain the remodeled porch as originally constructed, and then the approval to reduce the front setback would pave the way for other structures along Marconi to undergo similar processes to maintain similar conditions. And then they referenced policies through the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. And then the standard, if the VRB approves the application, the following conditions are required. The site will comply with chapters 5, 17.5, 21, 22, 23, 26, and all technical standards of the City of Tampa Code and chapter 27, unless waived specific to the request. And then if you have any comments or questions for staff, I will be on the side.
What type of remodel on a 1918 home triggers zoning to flag, to flag it and demand a variance?
The porch was originally lower, so when they increased the porch to match up with the front door.
The floor height of the porch?
Yeah, the floor height of the porch, and then they added a rail and the cover, I believe.
Okay.
And that's what triggered it. The cover and the rail on top of everything else.
Okay.
It triggered
Thank you.
the request for the variance.
All right, come on up, and just a reminder to state your name, address, and confirm that you've been sworn in.
Richard Marcel, 8229 State Road 52, Hudson, Florida, and I have been sworn in. I am the owner's representative, and we are asking for a front setback reduction from 25 foot down to 8 feet. And the owner did remodel the porch, put up a new rail, and he was red tagged, so that's why we're here today. I don't have a big presentation, and this area, as you guys probably know, was built prior to World War II with reduced setbacks along the corridor of this area. So the owner would like to seek a reduction to the front setback to maintain the existing porch. Sorry, I've been doing this for years and I'm still nervous.
All right, does that complete your presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? All right, seeing none, I'm going to open it up to questions from the board.
All right, let's clean this up. So what parts of this porch were existing? First of all, do you know when the owner acquired this property?
That I do not. I was hired after he was red tagged,
Okay.
received the violation.
Do you know what portions of this existed prior to the remodel?
Yes, sir. From my understanding, he just replaced the rail around the porch and then put a vinyl around each column. I don't know anything about a floor being raised.
Okay. All right. The ceiling of the roof of this porch was there and hasn't been changed, or at least is it the configuration of it, the location of it hasn't been changed?
Correct. The configuration, none of the setbacks have been changed. It was maintained within the original footprint
Okay.
of that porch.
All right. Thank you.
You don't happen to have any pictures of this new addition, do you? Because
I
Don't see anything.
believe we submitted some, but I did not bring any with me. I do apologize.
Okay, I guess staff, did you guys receive any pictures?
Oh, this is Stephen. Yes, we did receive photos. I believe they were included in your packet, but from the nods, I'm assuming. not. Let's see if we can get them pulled up real quick.
The only pictures in our packets are the maps.
Are the maps? Okay.
Maps and
floor plan.
floor plan layouts.
Give me just 1 second.
This is 2414.
This is the notice of violation. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, because this has the folder of everything that was submitted along with the surveys that were shown. But the porch was existing, like this porch was existing already. And then, like the applicant stated, they did add the railing across the front, they added the columns, and then that triggered the complaint from construction services. There was no record that the porch was ever permitted to start with, being circa, I think it says 1913,
18.
18.
Not
So-
to take her over 5 years, right?
Yeah. So, you know, when they went out there and red tagged them, it didn't meet the 25-foot setback. So now they are
Okay.
here.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
And similar to the previous variance, are you acceptable with the condition that it will not be enclosed and air conditioned?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up. Sorry, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal should you need it.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing, open it up for discussion or motion from the board.
Oh, I have my list on it. Go ahead. All right. I move that the variance request for case VRB 24-14, located at 2821 Macaroni Street, excuse me, as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the front yard setback from 25 feet to 8 feet for a porch, which was remodeled, be approved with the following conditions: that this porch cannot be enclosed and turned into air-conditioned space. That said variance as conditioned be granted upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence of record that the public hearing of necessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that is an existing porch constructed way back when, way before it was codes and zoning and all the things that were there, and this homeowner decided to improve the neighborhood by just bringing it up to date and making it curb appeal better, but leaving the same porch as existing.
All right.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Mr. Murphy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, your variance is approved 4-0.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
It is.
All right. The next application on the agenda is VRB 24-16, and I believe the applicant wants to say something before the presentation.
Good evening, Colin Rice, 1000 West Cass Street, law firm of Older Lundy. Sorry to invert the order, but I thought we'd save some time. We'll be respectfully asserting our right to continue with the 4 members present tonight.
Okay. Legal, is there anything that we need to do, or is that, I mean, it's just as of right? Okay. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
All right, just give me 1 second to flip through these real quick. All right, so the next item on the agenda is VRB-24-17. The applicant and owner is Joseph L. Dempsey and Joseph Pescator. The address, so quick background, these trees are all located within the right-of-way. The addresses mentioned were for reference purposes for the board to look at the sites and for noticing purposes. So these are all right-of-way. It's the removal of 4 grand oaks for the installation of new water lines. The code section in question is 27-284.2.5. Permit for grand tree removal, application required documentation standards and criteria for decision, inspections, petition for review. There is a open CWS-24-247 permit for the installation of the new water lines in the area. So we're going to go tree by tree. They're labeled Grand Tree 1 through Grand Tree 4. So Grand Tree 1 is a laurel oak, Quercus laurifolia, 44-inch DBH with 52 by 66 canopy. The condition is C10. When they initially submitted the report, this tree did qualify for a variance, but once further inspection happened, we saw that it was a C10, but since noticing was completed, we included it for reference. This is the tree in question. This is the map of the location of the tree. As you can see, it's kind of located right by the railroad track on the corner. This is the survey of the site, and you'll see many of the plans will reflect this same look. The water lines are existing. They are digging 2 large pits on each side of the railroad tracks to install the new pipes that go underneath the track and then come back up on the other side. So the reasonable reconfiguration was pretty limited because they're connecting it to 2 existing pipes, and they're just making a short span. They did adjust the depth. They showed the impacts at the current depth and if they went deeper in depth because they couldn't get any shallower. And the impacts to the trees were the same. The same size pit was required for whatever depth they brought the pipe below the tracks. So this is Grand Tree 2, which is a live oak 60-inch DBH with an 83 by 95 canopy. The condition of this tree is C7 with 29 mitigation trees. This is the tree. It's located under the power lines. You can see it has a codominant structure, meaning it's comprised of 2 leads that kind of split off. This is the location here. Again, right next to the railroad tracks. That'll be a common theme with all 4 of these. And then a very similar plan showing how the pipe to be ran under the tracks and then back up to the other side to connect to the existing line. Grand Tree 3 is also a live oak, 40-inch DBH with a measurement of 70 by 88 with a C8 rating and a mitigation value of 23 trees. This is Grand Tree 3. You can see it's kind of mounded up right along the right-of-way where the excavation is going to occur. This is the map, and you can see that it hangs over the road where the water line, if you can imagine, runs right down the middle of that road. This is a similar site plan. And then for Grand Tree 4 is a 46-inch DBH with 67 by 76 with a condition of C8 and a mitigation value of 19 trees. And this one, you can see is also, like many of the other ones, is right against the street and leans over the right-of-way due to housing and stuff off to the side. So you can see it here. Similar type of layout. And then all reviewers found the project consistent with conditions. And then this is the criteria for grand tree removal. And if you have any questions, I will be available.
Thank you. Is the applicant here this evening? Come on up. And just a reminder to state your name, address, and confirm that you've been sworn in.
All right, my name is Joe Pescator. My address is 6268 34th Ave in St. Pete, because obviously it's nothing to do with this VRB. And yes, I've been sworn in. So I want to start by, as Stephen alluded to, that Joseph Dempsey, that just happened to be the name of the owner of the first address that this tree is, nothing associated with this VRB sticker. Good evening, board members. Thank you for helping to get our project on this month's board meeting. My name is Joe Pescator, project manager with Kiewit Infrastructure South Company, and the project manager of the City of Tampa's project number 20C2, Comprehensive Infrastructure for Tampa's Neighborhoods Design Build Project. City of Tampa's Comprehensive Infrastructure for Tampa's Neighborhoods Design Build Project is part of Mayor Castor's Transforming Tampa's Tomorrow initiative and includes water, wastewater, and stormwater improvements in multiple neighborhoods within Tampa city limits. When this project is completed, it will have replaced approximately 96,500 feet of the city's aging distribution piping, some of which is up to 80 years old, rehabilitated approximately 144,220 feet of aging wastewater piping, and added 1,250 feet of new storm piping. We have worked in 4 neighborhoods throughout Tampa: Forest Hills, Virginia Park, McFarland Park, and we will be mobilizing to East Tampa in August of this year for our final remaining 32,000 feet of new water line installation. The reason I am here today is in 9 locations along the CSX Railroad in East Tampa, we need to perform jack and bores to replace this aging water line, and across the CX rails and tracks. At 4 of the locations, grand trees are in the footprint of the work locations. As you can see in the site plans, the pits required for the jack and bore equipment will significantly impact the tree and or its roots. The pit required must be 32 feet by 12 feet, by 10 feet deep. Additionally, at these locations, the 4 trees already experience restricted growth area and canopy limitations due to overhead utilities and other infrastructure. These pits have to be located as shown due to CSX and city requirements and to facilitate connections to the existing water line already there. Something to additionally note about this project is due to, requesting approval. So today I'm requesting approval to remove these 4 trees to permit the installation of the new water line. Our conscious efforts have allowed us to install the other almost 100,000 feet of water line on the project without impacting any grand trees. Unfortunately, these 4 locations do not allow us to avoid the impact of these trees. Something to additionally note about this project is that due to the quality of work performed to date, the City of Tampa's Water Department has partnered with the City of Tampa's Sustainability Department to approve and fund a tree pilot program, which will start within the next 2 months, planting over 270 trees in Virginia Park and McFarland Park. The city is currently working to identify additional budget availability to extend this tree pilot program to East Tampa and hopefully plant an additional 50+ trees throughout that neighborhood in order to continue to improve our city's tree canopy. I want to close by noting that this project has identified areas that require a new water line due to their higher than average frequency of water quality issues and pipe failures. When the work is done, the new water lines will provide the following community benefits: better water pressure and better water quality, enhanced fire protection for residential areas, reduction in water infrastructure breaks, and modernization of the aging system. So I ask, on behalf of the city and the people of Tampa, to approve this variance request for removal of these 4 trees.
Thank you. Does that
right.
complete your presentation?
That's all I got.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? All right, seeing none. Any questions from the board for the applicant or for staff?
I just have to ask, so are you the person that I should call when they shut the water off because they're doing the work out there? Is that you?
We have a public relations team. Handle that.
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
All right.
Just to clarify real quick, like what the applicant said, this is a City of Tampa project, so it is the City of Tampa applying for the removal as part of that project.
All right. You have 5 minutes for rebuttal if you need it.
Oh, I'm good. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, open it up for a motion or discussion.
Well, give it a shot. This is not something we typically see. It doesn't seem that this can be reasonably reconfigured. And so I would move that variance request for case VRB 27-14 for property located, I guess, at 3102 North 31st Street. 2417. Oh, did I say something differently? 2417. Let me start over. Move the variance request for case VRB 24-17 for property located at 3102 North 31st Street. Thank you. 3821 North 30th Street, 3004 East 23rd Street, and 2918 East 25th Street. Be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for the removal of 4 grand trees based upon the petitioner meeting the burden of proof that the trees would be rendered hazardous by the proposed construction that cannot be reasonably reconfigured when considering the factors set forth in section 27-284.2.5F of the city code for grand tree removal. Specifically, that the evidence provided in the record and at this public hearing showed that the jack and bore pits for the water line replacement across the railroad tracks in the 4 locations cannot be reasonably reconfigured, that the pits must be the same size and regardless of the depth of the pits would impact the trees in the same manner, again, regardless of the depth, and that because the pipes are connecting existing pipe to existing pipe under the railroad track, that there is no alternative location that the pipe can be placed.
Second.
Thanks, no, that's fine. So that was a great motion, very detailed. But I just had one amendment, if you would, because it's not these are the property addresses of the adjacent right-of-way. The right-of-way is adjacent to it. So the trees are in the City of Tampa right-of-way that's adjacent to these properties. So the variance would not be for the properties themselves, but for the adjacent right-of-way.
I will accept the amendment that the property addresses listed are adjacent to the right-of-way where the trees are located.
And that's where the variances are being granted.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Feldman, second by Mr. Foltz. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None. Right. City of Tampa, your variance is approved. Okay. We are zipping on through. 24-18.
So the next case on the agenda is VRB 2418. The owner and applicant is Jeffrey Weiss and Andrea Arsenault, and the applicant is Brandon Roberts. The property address is 4118 West Silva Street. It's residential single-family RS60. The request is to remove a slash pine on the project site based upon reasonable reconfiguration criteria. The section is 27-284.2.4. permit for specimen tree removal. So just to give you guys a quick rundown, unlike the usual ones, this is actually a specimen tree. So it's below the 32-inch that requires for grand trees. And this one is before you because, as you can see, the condition is a A8. So it's a textbook rated tree. Their arborist actually initially provided this rating to us. The species in question is a slash pine, and then the mitigation is 2 type 2 trees at 2.5-inch DBH. So this is the current site. As you can see, there was a house that was there. That house is no longer. This is the survey of the house before it was removed. And you can see that per SCPA A8 pine, we can request reasonable reconfiguration for that to be preserved. The laurel oak that was above that has already is a D9, so that one's not in question. So this is the current layout. The slash pine has been highlighted in green with a 15-foot protective radius around it, highlighted in that light green circle. So this is the proposed site plan. This is alternative site plan 1, which shifts the house back. This is alternative site plan 2, which provides the tree a 10-foot protective radius with a 5-foot encroachment. So Natural Resources found it consistent with conditions because pine trees are very sensitive to construction, even with a 15-foot radius. For it to be successful, it probably would need closer to 20 because there are pests that specifically target pine trees when they're under stress compared to, like, say, some of our other like our live oaks and things like that are not susceptible to those same pests. Transportation found it consistent, wastewater consistent, water, stormwater, and TECO all found it consistent with conditions. This is the criteria. It's the same criteria for the grand tree removal, applies to the specimen tree removal. And then if you have any questions, I'm available.
All right, thank you. All right, the applicant could come up and, as a reminder, to state your name, address, confirm that you've been sworn in.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jeffrey Weiss. My current address is 51 Bahama Circle, Tampa, and I have been sworn in. I would thank the board for hearing our application. I've never been before one of these before. Hopefully I do it right. So my wife and I bought this property a couple of years ago. We had moved to Tampa. We were very excited, actually, that there was a grand oak in the front of the property that you saw. About 15 feet behind it is the slash pine that's in question. We were excited because we wanted to keep the grand oak, and we were told, or it was indicated to us, we likely could remove the slash pine. Incorrect information on both counts, because the grand oak has been very heavily pruned over many decades. It is leaning toward the street, is in very bad condition as graded by the arborist, so that actually has to come out. I believe this, based on my discussions with the arborist, this whole situation occurred because you had 2 trees that were very close to each other, about 15 feet away from each other. So the oak was pruned very heavily on its backside toward the slash pine, and was not pruned well, which puts it in its current condition. And as you can see from the picture of the slash pine, was very heavily pruned most of the way up, so it actually winds up looking more like a telephone pole than the characteristic of a slash pine. In addition to which, as you could see, keeping the slash pine there takes this tree, which is already at risk for, to my understanding, not surviving the construction period, and pushes our house very, very far back on the lot. I think most of the neighbors can't even see the pine tree because it's hidden behind the grand oak. As you take the grand oak out, what you're going to have is this slash pine that looks more like a telephone pole. I have no other way of describing it. That's going to be very obvious in the front yard. We were hoping that you would entertain our request for a variance such that we would mitigate against this. We would propose putting in a large oak, a sizable oak in the front yard, because we would like to have one, that or another maybe rapidly growing tree with a good canopy like a Royal Poinciana or a Magnolia, whatever the board would feel is appropriate. We're not trying to circumvent the code. We just want to make this so that when we come out of the other side, we have something that is in keeping with the characteristic of our street. The canopy that is there, there are quite a few oaks. There are no other slash pines in the area, so it's not characteristic of that street, and we would appreciate your considering this application.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Right. Seeing none, I'll open it up to questions from the board, for the applicant or for staff. I have a question. Do you know the approximate age of the slash pine?
I actually don't know the age of these trees. I know that they're somewhat old because they are sizable, but I don't know the age.
Okay.
That was not in any of the arborist reports.
Any other questions from the board? All right, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal if you need it.
Nothing further to say. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion from the board.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 24-18 for property located at 4118 West Sevilla Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for removal of a grand or specimen tree based upon the petitioner meeting the burden of proof that the trees would be rendered hazardous by proposed construction that cannot be reasonably reconfigured when considering the factors set forth in section 27-284.2.5F of the city code for grand tree removal, specifically that the evidence provided in the record and at this public hearing showed that this slash pine is in a location that is too close to construction, even with the moving back of the home, that it would still be affected by pests and possibly still suffer and perish. Also, in keeping with the neighborhood, we don't want to move the house too far back on the property. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Motion by Mr. Murphy,
Second.
second by Mr. Fultz. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, your
Thank
variance
you
is
so
granted
much.
4-0.
Appreciate your time.
So for the last case of the night, it's VRB 2425. The owner is Azia LLC. The applicant is Ricky Pederica. The property address is 3727 East Hillsborough Avenue. The zoning is commercial intensive, and the request is to reduce the minimum amount of tree preservation for multifamily wooded lot from 40% to 4%. The section of the code is 27-284.3.1. Wooded multifamily properties over an acre in size require a 40% tree retention. The previous action are BLD-24, 0508296, which is for commercial new construction. And then there has been a LND-2409, which is a live local project. So it does have affordable housing built into this proposed project. This is the map. You can see it's zone CI, and the trees are located in the southern portion of the property and along the property line. This is the current survey showing the trees on site. This is the proposed site plan with mitigation to show the replanting plan. Natural resources was consistent with conditions. The trees on site are isolated to the southern portion of the property due to its previous use. This limits the ability to preserve trees throughout the site as they are clustered in this one area. Additionally, the site is increasing in grade by 3 feet across its entirety, making long-term tree preservation challenging. And then the property's landlocked, so this is a phase 2 project. Phase 1 is to the left. So that's how they have to access phase 2 through phase 1. Transportation, wastewater, water, stormwater, Also, all found the site consistent or consistent with conditions. And then this is the regular hardship criteria applies to these requests for tree retention because of the section of code they are within. So these are the applicant's responses. As stated, the project is unique because it's the second phase of an existing affordable housing community abutting the subject site. Also, the project is subject to the Live Local review process. The variance, if granted, will not substantially interfere with or injure the health and safety and welfare of others. The request is not for building scale, volume, or setback, but for the tree removal. Also, the existing trees are creating a sanctuary of cover for homeless and possible criminal activities within which this variance, if granted, would alleviate. Number 3, the site is technically landlocked, so access can only be provided from cross connections on the adjacent parcel, which is phase 1, located to the west. And then the request is to remove 24 additional trees beyond what the minimum retention requirement is. The project will create 92 affordable senior apartments and replant over 100 trees. And then it just states affordable housing is common theme throughout many land use policies. And then if approved, this condition will be on the record. The site will comply with chapters 5, 17.5, 21, 23, 22, 23, and 26, and all technical standards of the city of Tampa, and chapter 27, unless waived specific to this request. If you have any questions, we will be available.
Yep. Is the applicant here? All right, so just a reminder, name, address, confirm that you've been sworn, please.
Thank you, Board. Ricky Pederica, Dartmoss, 308 East 7th Avenue. I have been sworn, and with me is Stacy Bannock with New South Residential. He has not been sworn, so if we could handle that.
Good evening, Stacy Bannock, 558 West New England.
Raise your hand and you swear. Do you swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes. And I just like Mr. Bannock to speak up to the live local dimension of this, and then I'll proceed with the rest of the criteria.
Okay, and I know this is silly, if you could just confirm that you've been sworn in. I realize that we literally.
Yes, Stacy Bannock, and I have been sworn in now. Thank you. I was just going to mention just a couple of things here. This is, as we mentioned, a second phase. About 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we built Madison Highlands Phase 1. This was for 102 units of affordable senior, affordable living. This is a second phase. This project, the site is unique because it was owned by the liquor store that was in front of us. And the liquor store owned this property as well, and he sold the liquor store. So now the site is just sitting in the middle. And the only way that you can get access to this legally is through our development that we've already built. The other unique thing about this is through the Live Local Act that the state has put in place, we're able to actually build affordable housing on commercial and industrial land. So this property is, it's been in the making for a while, and we've done everything we can do with the site plan to avoid as many trees as we can. It's just difficult because, like I said, the site conditions, when Ricky goes over it, you'll see how difficult it is to do anything other than what we're doing. So I'm here to answer any questions and to, anything about the project, just let me know. And after he does his presentation, I'll be able to answer those for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Ricky Pederica, Dartmoss, 308 East 7th Avenue. I have been sworn. Okay. I would like to just walk through the tree inventory first. My team conducted a tree inventory per city standards, let's say in March. And I know this is, I'm not asking you to look at any individual tree here, but what we're showing are tree types, tree numbers, and the tree protection area in yellow or orange circles here. And the trees are color-coded with dots that range from green, white, or brown. This is a green here, a good palm. This is a fair oak. And it's tough to see, but let's say in this little cluster, there's a brown dot that is a poor oak. So what I want you to take from this is the lack of green. And that is sort of the main character beyond the development on the forest condition that we're working with. This is some example pictures of what we were seeing out on the site. It's a area that is not pristine forest land. It's sort of leftover, disturbed urban forest that's being used as dumping grounds, encampments, and not really functional as an ecosystem like we could find in New Tampa, for example. So while the trees bring benefits, and I'm not saying that they don't, the benefits that we're arguing of the project being allowed with this variance request outweigh the ecological benefits of this fair or worse forest condition. Part of the live local requirements that make this unique is that there's a minimum threshold for development for units for a site. I believe it's 70, 72?
75.
75. So we can't make a project smaller than 75, and with the grading criteria associated with any development of size, we can't lower the grade to the existing condition without major excessive engineering accomplishments for arguably a forest that's not worth the exercise from both probably an appraised condition and just from a tree quality condition. We can mitigate all trees that we are removing with our proposed site plan, and are mitigating all trees that we're removing with our proposed site plan. The western edges of this site are heavily influenced by Brazilian pepper and white lead tree in this area. And while very specific but important for the challenge, a lot of these trees are small and in clusters, and the code makes no differentiation on the retention quality, whether it's a 31-inch beautiful live oak or 28-inch beautiful pine versus a 5-inch iffy oak, laurel oak, underneath another oak, which is a lot of what we have here. So that's the nature of the request. It's a rough forest that has value, but we're requesting relief from the minimum retention criteria in order to develop this project because of the other benefit that we're proposing, which is affordable housing in East Tampa. And that's my presentation.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this presentation, on this application? All right, seeing none, I'll open it up to questions from the board.
Mr. Federico, it is very challenging to tell. I appreciate the color coding, but it's challenging to tell what you're preserving and what you aren't based upon.
Okay,
what you got here.
yes, and maybe maybe you won't get the whole picture here, but really the only preservation are some select trees. So if you look, most of these trees have red dots or red X's on them. And the preservation is like this tree here, this tree here, this tree here, this tree here. There's few. And we're requesting slightly more than, our variance is slightly more than what we are currently, let's say, attempting to permit. This is 13%, we're requesting 4%. Because with so few trees, 68, one tree can be multiple percentage points. So we're trying to create a little safety factor for the realities of construction. But the point is, we're at 9 trees preserved on this project with all the construction constraints, or potentially less depending on how this goes, but in no case less than the 4%. But all the construction constraints and grading proposed. But I guess to your point, most of what you're seeing is proposed to be removed. There's a couple trees on the fringe that are being preserved, but nothing is sort of patently preservation quality like we would treat grand oaks usually. Everything is just a number to this retention calculation.
And do the invasive trees, you mentioned Brazilian peppers and some others. Do those trees count in the percentage, or
No.
they don't?
So good question. The percentage is only based on let's say there's 138 trees on site, including invasive species. Only 115 count towards the code. There's 23 invasive species on the site. That's how that sort of reads. Of these 115 trees, 87 of them are fair or better. The rest of these 28 are poor or worse, and they're excluded from the retention criteria. So we're proposing to remove, palms are also excluded from that number. So the only trees that count towards this percentage are 68. We're proposing to remove 58 of them. And then there's a grand tree that's in poor condition. But that's sort of how the numbers flow through the criteria, the retention calculation.
Okay.
The code has a second retention provision, which is weighted, which considers the size and quality of the tree in the retention request. And that's higher, but we're requesting still a low percentage because of just certainty that we've requested what we need if there was ever a question on the interpretation of what percentage we need to maintain.
While you still have this exhibit up, how many trees are going to be on the property once it's completely developed?
I believe, I don't have let me see if I brought the landscape plan. I think we're proposing 100 back, obviously smaller trees. I don't have it, but that's roughly the number.
Are you mitigating 100% on site? You're not paying into the fund for any of it?
I don't think any are being paid into the fund.
Okay, so you're going to add 100 trees to the site, which is, based on these numbers, more than you would if you had just saved the trees that you're required to save.
Yeah, let's say a simpler way. We are planting more than exists,
Okay.
or equal to what exists. And adding 92 affordable housing units.
And the elevation you were talking about earlier in the procedure, the slope and the elevation reduces as it heads towards the rear of the property, towards the trees? Okay.
Well, yeah, let's say.
You're talking engineering feats. I'm wondering, is it because you're going, lower into like a flood zone? Is that what's back there and you have to stilt a building or something to save some of these?
No. We're mostly higher, except there's a lot of grade happening on that side, on the south side. But the grade contributes to the difficulty of preservation, but the site plan itself is just sort of not conducive to large areas of preservation because of how simple the site plan is. It's sort of a minimum building width, the minimum building depth. So this is minimized for a double-loaded apartment building. This is not quite minimized to the Live Local Act, but is minimized to the site, pond to the north, and then drive aisle, single-loaded bay, double-loaded bay. It can't get more straightforward.
Gotcha. You need the parking for the building. I understand.
Right. And then there's grade interactions here with the phase one that also sort of drive the engineering. And Mr. Foltz, I do want to clarify, I revised my statement. We do not exceed the mitigation. There will be a tree payment. With roughly 100 trees proposed, there's 144 type 1 trees required, and then a handful more. The remainder of the mitigation fee that can't be planted on site will be paid in lieu.
That's fair. You're planting 100 trees, that's crazy.
Okay, right, we're still doing that.
Okay, any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, you have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
I don't have any, thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion from the board.
I mean, I don't love seeing all the greenery go away, but it's definitely not in good shape, and it's not been maintained. And I do like the fact they're putting a whole bunch of trees back on the site, so I definitely support it.
And I think it's increasing public safety. I mean, looking at those photos.
I think it sounds like we might be displacing a band of merry men, the way the forest with vagrants living in their potential crime.
They're gonna have apartment units
Yeah.
to live in.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, you want me to do it?
If you want to, sure. You got it.
All right. Do we have language for this one?
I think
This
it's
is just standard variance.
Just approval of variance without conditions? All right. I move that variance request for case VRB 24-25 for property located at 3727 East Hillsborough Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing to reduce the minimum amount of tree preservation for a multifamily wooded lot from 40% to 4%, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship, practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that the forest condition on this lot is poor, that the lot has been vacant for a long time, that the lot is going to be used for affordable housing, that the project must have a minimum number of units to meet the criteria and qualify for the affordable housing, that the applicant will be removing a good amount of poor trees and replacing or mitigating approximately 100 trees on the lot, and that grading will impact some of the trees or would impact some of the trees that would be proposed to be saved, but for their removal.
Second.
All right, a motion by Mr. Feldman, a second by Mr. Foltz. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None. The variance is approved, 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned.